Ayton last night, let me point something out real quick on Deandre Ayton here. You throw something out here on Deandre Ayton, and then we can talk about a quick question that was proposed by one of our members. Proposed this question. So Ayton last night, just continuing to have a really good start to the season for the Lakers. 20 points and 4 rebounds. What a great situation for him. By the way, averaging 16 and 9 so far this year. 16 and 9. So if I'd have told you, hey guys, you're grabbing DeAndre Ayton, you're getting $8 million a year. The Blazers are paying the rest of his contract, and he's giving you 16 and 9 a season, or 16 and 9 a game. Every single Laker fan would have said, yeah, we'll take that in a heartbeat. By the way, you also have the option of playing Jackson Hayes, who plays a little bit different. So you still have him on the bench. Maxi Kleba, okay, you got that option as well. We'll see how much the Lakers go to him. 8 and 16 and 9. Somebody had asked the question, again, it was a member that asked the question that, hey, do you think Ayton has earned, does this become a player if he continues to play like this? Let's just pretend the season ended. We played 82 games, and he played well in the playoffs. Again, averaged 16 and 9. Is Ayton the long-term solution for the Lakers? And it kind of threw me off a little bit. I was like, damn, I'm really only thinking about this season. To be honest with you, when I do think of the Lakers long-term, I do think of big game hunting. You know, it's impossible to not say, hey, is there a way that they can get Giannis Antetokounmpo, Bam Adebayo? Look, probably not going to happen, but you just start thinking that way in order for them to potentially start competing with some of these upper echelon teams in the Western Conference and in the NBA. Is there a path that the Lakers can take to go get a legitimate top 5 big men in the NBA, something along those lines? For me, if you told me this is what Ayton is all season long, he's a 16 and 9 guy. Has he proved himself to be a long-term solution for the Lakers? Why do I still hesitate? Why do I feel like if you're going to win an NBA championship, you need a better player at center? Maybe I'm wrong on this. This is just my initial thoughts when somebody asked the question, hey, is Ayton proven that he could be a long-term fit for the Lakers? Hypothetically, the season ends. Are you looking to say, hey, let's just re-sign DeAndre Ayton. Let's just kind of keep going from there? I know a lot of it's going to have to do with what the spend's going to be. I know a lot of people will say in the chat, Al, but what is Ayton doing in the playoffs? We got to wait and see. Let's just assume the way he's played so far this year is how he plays the rest of the season. And then you get to the playoffs, and that's the Ayton that you see in the postseason, very similar to how he's played in the regular season. I still have some hesitation. You know, I've liked the way he's played, and I mentioned this yesterday in the postgame show. Imagine being DeAndre Ayton, and you signed with the Lakers, and you've had some stops where people are kind of saying stuff on your way out. Certainly when he was in Portland, they're basically like, look, we're buying you out because we don't want you next to our young players. We don't think you're good for our youngsters. Okay, comes to the Lakers, has a chance. I get to play with Luka. Okay, cool. I got a guy that one of the best point guards in the NBA. He'll dish out dimes. He's not selfish. Okay, I get Austin Reeves. Hell, Austin Reeves can give 8 to 10 times a game, and I could be the beneficiary when it comes to that. And then LeBron comes yesterday, and some of the best highlights that I've seen all season was Bron dishing the ball to DeAndre and Ayton doing his thing. It's a perfect fit for Ayton. It certainly is really, really, he's gaining a ton of value for, I think for him, it's exactly what he was hoping for. I get on a team with a lot of attention. I get on a roster with a lot of talent and guys that like facilitating. It's not, I'm trying to think of, there's a lot of point guards in the NBA that they're going to go get they're more worried about getting their own buckets than getting you buckets. That's not really any of these Laker players. Maybe you could say that about Luka, but Luka's still going to average 10 dimes a game. So that's still going to come with the territory with Luka. But I would say, if I'm being completely honest, I still got my hesitation on Ayton. I still feel like, okay, well, can you actually truly compete for an NBA championship with Ayton as your starting center? I got hesitation. And that's not to take anything away from him. It's not to take anything away from his start. It's not to take anything away. I think he's done more than anybody has asked him to do so far. And I think he has surpassed whatever expectations that you had for him. But I got a little bit of hesitation saying, hey, Ayton, here's a 3-4 year deal. even if this is kind of how the rest of the season goes. All right, let's see if people agree or disagree. I'm actually curious. I'm curious if where people kind of fit on the Ayton piece of things. Yeah, needs to be consistent. We were dying for Ayton 3 years ago. He's still young. I like him. How he fits with the Lakers, wants to win and doesn't need to be the man. Okay, good. It's a fair point right there. I can't really argue that. Not sold on Ayton yet. For starters, I'm loving Ayton and his contributions, but I personally think it's because he feels like a really passive player. Makes you still feel unsure. There is a little bit of, I think there is a little bit of sometimes with Ayton. I don't think that's the case these last couple of games. But there is kind of is this an aggressive dude? That's not necessarily, I think, how much of that is in his DNA. Ayton will go back being lazy once he gets his next big deal. Listen, if I'm signing a $80 million contract, let's just say my next day is going to look a little bit different than the day before. I'm walking into work with a robe on. Braun fits better with Ayton's game, and Hayes fits better with Luka's game. Interesting. That's a good observation, actually. I mean, I think both of them can play with anything and anybody, but I get where you're coming from with that observation. I want to see Ayton play over 50 games first. Ayton is the perfect backup. Well, he's not going to get backup money. You know, Hayes is technically the perfect backup because you're giving him backup money. You don't have to put a lot of resources or money towards him. You can't make $20, $25, $30 million a year and say he's a backup, right? So that the finances won't make sense from that perspective. Ayton could fall off if he got a big bag. That's funny. That's actually a lot of people. That's a couple of people now that are saying the same thing, that for Ayton, if he gets paid, then he's going to lose his motivation. It's too early to tell with Ayton. Well, I think what's not too early to tell is that the man is in a really, really good position. Luka, Braun, and AR need to keep him involved. And I think they will. By the way, it's advantageous for them to keep involved. You got to have a big that's contributing. Get another one here. We got a super here. Thank you for the super, brother. I appreciate it. I'm a Rui fan, but I can trust Ayton, AR, Luka to get their regular season averages in the playoffs. Rui has to be 16-4-4, no ring. Yeah, listen, I think Rui is what he is. I think if you're expecting something different from Rui, I think you're probably not going to get it. I think Rui is exactly what he is. And nobody should have a problem. I mean, if anybody's complaining about Rui from last night of maybe not doing much, the team put up 140. They didn't need any more from him. So I don't think – I think Rui is what he is. I think there's going to be games where you say, damn, Rui's got a great mid-range. He can hit those jumpers. He's hitting open threes. And then there's going to be a lot of other games where you're like, yeah, I didn't really feel Rui's presence. And why can't somebody who's 6'8" grab a rebound or 6'9" grab a rebound? I don't have an answer for you. Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.